Krishna श्याम प्रभु, yes. Only one.
Hare sure that. Yeah. So Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you for coming. I heard that you are regularly now meeting on Sunday in this room and that you are reading Srimad Bhagavatam or studying Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we have the topic of pastimes of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Beautiful to see all of you. Hare Krishna. So the topic is pastimes in Vrindavan, and when we speak about Krishna, we usually speak about Vrindavan. We know that there are times when Krishna was also in Mathura or in Vraja, but yeah, we somehow love very much when Krishna is in Vrindavan. And today we have chosen a pastime that we find also in Srimad Bhagavatam that I think is very beautiful and also very relevant for all of us. They are actually very beautiful lessons we can take from this pastime. I want just to offer obeisances to Srimad Bhagavatam, one verse of glorification. That's a verse written by Sanatana Goswami. Madeka bandhum mad sangin mad guru mad mahadana mad nistaraka mad bhagya mad ananta namostute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, my only friend, my companion and my teacher, O my great wealth and deliverer, O my good fortune and bliss, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. Garantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. When you meet on Sunday, are you usually reading one verse? Or okay. 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 I was preparing a verse, but because we are a little bit short in time, I will skip the verse. But if some of you like nectar, you might take a note of 10, 23, 26. That's a verse of this particular chapter that is extremely beautiful, so you might like to look at it. So the pastime that we will study today, actually I will not tell you which pastime it is. I will just start to speak about the pastime, and after sometimes you will notice what pastime it is. Many of you must already know this pastime. So it starts actually when one morning Krishna, Balaram and their friends, they went to the forest and they were out, they were taking care of the cows. This pastime is taking place during summertime when it's actually very hot, and soon the sun started very intensely to give, and all the boys, they went under the shade of some trees. Now Krishna had a desire. He wanted to give special blessings to some special of his devotees. And those devotees were actually the wives of some brahmanas. And Krishna wanted his friends to go to those wives of the brahmana and beg for some food. So Krishna arranged that everyone would be very hungry. So he made some arrangement that the lunch of Yasoda did not reach through where the boys were supposed to be. And Krishna purposefully avoided all the trees that give fruits so that everyone will be really, really hungry. So this is what happened after some times. The boys, they came actually to Krishna and Balaram, and they pointed to their bellies, and they say to Krishna and Balaram, we have not eaten any breakfast. Oh Krishna, you saved us from so many powerful demons. Now you have to protect us from a very strong hunger. Our raging appetite have turned our bellies into pots of burning fire. Krishna spoke to the boys. He said, my dear friends, go to those brahmanas close by to here who are doing yagyas because they want to go to the heavenly planets. But those brahmanas are not Vaishnavas. They are not able to chant our names, the names of Krishna and Balaram. They chant Om Pat Sho Shat Chat Bao Chat when they do the yagyas, but they cannot say Krishna and Balaram. They cannot chant our names. So you go to those brahmana and you ask them to give us some food. So the boys were happy. They went, they walked to the house of those brahmanas. And then when they arrived close, they could smell the ghee of the yagya. They could see the streams of smokes in the air. They could hear the mantras of the brahmana. And they could see brahmanas were moving here and there. A lot of things were going on there. So they approached the brahmanas. They folded their hands and they immediately offer obeisances flat in front of the brahmanas. And they spoke to the brahmanas. They say, oh, and you can notice how very nice they speak, how they were actually encouraging the brahmanas to immediately agree to their proposal. They say, oh, earthly gods, kindly hear us. Krishna and Balaram, our friends, are just nearby tending the cows, and we did not get any breakfast today. We are extremely hungry. Please give us some food. You are all brahmanas and knower of religious principles, and if you think that you should give us charity, then give us some food, as we shall all eat along with Krishna and Balaram. You are the most respectable brahmanas within the human society, and you are expert to know all the principles of religious procedure. So they make them, you know, you are brahmanas, you know all, you are very charitable, so now you please give us some food. Krishna and Balaram and the friends of Krishna, they were cowboys. They were just like, we could say, ordinary cowboys, but by their association with Krishna, the friends of Krishna became very eloquent and knew actually all the wisdom of the Vedic scriptures. But the Brahmana did not like it. The Brahmana said, we are too busy. Go away. We are too busy. We have much more important things to do than to feed all of you boys. You go away, we will continue to do our yagyas. And the boy said, but Krishna and Balaram, they are the person why you worship. All the yaga you do, it's for them. So you please give the food for them. But I could not hear. And it is explained that they had too much, they were too much attached to their own desire to reach the heavenly planets. And it is said that their generosity was not extending further than their own belly. That was the extent of their generosity. So the boys, they felt very, very sad. They went back to Krishna and they spoke to Krishna. They say, Krishna, we follow all your instructions and we failed. How is that possible? Usually when we follow your instruction, everything becomes auspicious. We brought back nothing but the smoke that we were momentarily inhaling at the fire sacrifice. Just as nectar never turns salty, how is it that your infallible words put us into such embarrassment? So beautiful, huh? How they speaks. Krishna smiles and says, it's all right. All those who are engaged in begging, they should expect that they will not always receive what they beg for. That's all right. Balaram was next to Krishna, and Balaram did not speak a word. Balaram was actually very angry at those brahmana. And it is explained that Balaram represents the spiritual master. And those brahmanas, they did not understand what was the essence of what they were doing. So in the same way, when we do not understand the essence of what we are doing, our spiritual master will not be so pleased with us. So Krishna smiled and said, let us consider for a moment what to do. Finding faults in others is a bad habit of common people. But you should not see like this. So beautiful, huh? Krishna tells to the boys, seeing faults in others is the habit of common people. Huh? But we should not see like this. You should obtain food from the brahmana by asking their wives. Like you, their wives are endowed with the wealth of effort to achieve only prema for me. Beautiful, beautiful. Although they are women, they do not take pride in turning beggars away from their doors. Those women immediately feel ecstatic upon hearing my names, our names. They are most affectionate toward us, me, Krishna and Balaram, and indeed, with their intelligence, they reside in me alone. They will happily give you plenty of food. The boy felt very, very inspired. They left the garden of fresh creeper. They were riding on waves of pleasure. And they walked toward the house of the brahmanas. They were eagerly surpassing each other. And then when they arrived in the arena where the brahmanas were, they did not go to the brahmanas, but they went directly to the kitchen where all the wives of the brahmanas, they were engaged in cooking. They came, they again offer obeisances to the wife, and they say, oh, magnanimous wives of great brahmanas, we offer obeisances to your pinkish lotus feet. We are close friends of Krishna and Balaram, and we are all extremely hungry. Can you please give us some food? Now, when the wives of the brahmanas heard the name Krishna, it reverberated in their mind. Krishna, 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 Krishna. And they became motionless. They were not able to speak anything. And the boys were thinking, what's happening? They don't, will they give us something or not? What is actually happening? We are hungry. We did not take any breakfast. Please give us some food. But in the ears of the brahmana's wife, they were going, Krishna, 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 going on. And it is explained they became overwhelmed with sweet anxiety. Usually anxiety is not so sweet, but the anxiety for pleasing and serving God is actually something extremely sweet. So they were overwhelmed with sweet anxiety, and they just entered the kitchen and they started to prepare everything. They had been cooking for the yaga, so there was actually a lot of foodstuff that had been prepared. And they started to expertly pile rice on some small trails. They were, and the way they were putting everything together was actually representing their loving desire to please Krishna. So they had trails, and they were decorating all this food to bring to Krishna, like a lady would decorate herself looking in the mirror. So they, in one sense, they were putting all their love into going now to bring that to Krishna. And they had also some pots that had crystal leads, and those pots were effulgence, and the crystal lead was reflecting the color of the items that were inside of those jars. And then following the boys, they left the kitchen, and they did not care. They did not care. The brahmanas, they were still Om Pat Swaha, and then suddenly they see something moving on the side. They look. They were shocked. Their wives were leaving with all the foodstuffs, and in front of them were those boys that had been there a while before. And they tried to stop them. Stop, where are you? But there was nothing to do to stop them. And here is something extremely beautiful in that story, is that the love that the wives of the Brahmana had developed had a very, very strong intensity. In India, and especially in those times, to look at another man or to leave the house without permission was very heavy. You will maybe be totally, excluded from coming back home from the village, but they could not care of that. The attraction was too strong. And that's something very, very beautiful to see the love of those Brahmana ladies who were ready to give up everything just to go to Krishna and bring him the food. So as they were walking, they were very anxious, excited, and the boys were in front, and they were asking the boy, how far are we? Soon there. And the rest of the story will be told by Vajayanti. Or maybe, it's good actually.
So as they were walking, this lady were walking, they were very beautiful, colorful, with all the beautiful preparation they made with all their love for Krishna. They were now walking in the beautiful Vrindavan forest. And then at some point, as they're looking in the forest, they can see that there are some creepers and some of the trees that they are bowing down. And they look very humble and very blissful. And they understood, that might be a sign that Krishna is close by. We are almost there. He said that actually this lady were flowing toward Krishna, like rivers are flowing toward the ocean. Nothing can stop the river. So in the same way, the love that they have for Krishna, it was just bringing them. So whatever we love, we naturally will go towards. And then they arrive close by. They arrive close by, and what do you think is the first thing that they feel about Krishna? They cannot yet see him, but yes, they first see the trees, and then they smell. There is a fragrance. Krishna has a particular fragrance of lotus combined with chandan and with musk. So immediately their nostrils were completely overpowered by this fragrance. And this is what is happening also every evening when Krishna comes back in Vrindavan. And then they see an effulgence. They say that Krishna and Balaram is like a mountain of sapphire, and Balaram is a mountain of silver. There is so much effulgence that you cannot see in this effulgence. But so they were first struck by this blue effulgence, and then they came close, and they could see the form of the Lord. And they could see his form that was like a beautiful cloud with the lightning. The beautiful cloud is the color of the Lord, and the lightning is the chadar of the Lord that is yellow like gold, and this dhoti moving in the wind, and is like a lightning. And its moon-like face, light was coming. It was like the full moon. And he had one arm on his friend, where he was twirling a lotus, a beautiful lotus, and with the other hand he was saying, please come, please come, please come. And maybe I ask you, if you can close your eyes and just look with the eyes of your heart at beautiful Krishna. So please close your eyes and you can imagine the Lord that is standing there and is wearing actually a beautiful peacock feather crown. He has a beautiful garland on his chest, also multicolor. And he has beautiful curly locks that they are framing his face. And the cowboys that day, they decorated Krishna top knot with very beautiful buds. And there are two beautiful lotuses on his ears. With his left arm, he's resting on the shoulder of a friend. And with the right hand, he's saying, please come. He's calling you also, please come, please come. And he's smiling. The effulgence coming from the Lord was like a garland of blue lotus flowers that was now garlanding the wives. And the beautiful illumination that was coming from Krishna's body was covering now the wives of the Brahmana. They looked all like they had a blue sari, because the blue effulgence of Krishna was embracing them. If you want to open again your eyes, like the ladies also, now they open their eyes like two doors, and they let that beautiful form of the Lord going inside their heart. And then they close again. And now Krishna was inside their heart, but because they were wife of others, they could not think that they will go embrace the Lord. So, like also the gopis sometimes will do when they were in the midst of everyone, they bring the Lord in the heart and then they embrace him tightly. So this we can also do. Wherever we are, no matter where we are, if we learn to keep the form of the Lord in our heart, we can always be with him. And then again, after some time, they opened their eyes, and amazing, the Lord was there just in front of them. And in this way, now Krishna, he had a beautiful smile, and he said, oh, welcome, 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 most fortunate ladies. Please sit down here and make yourself comfortable. What can I do for you? And Krishna himself, personally, because he's controlled by the love of his devotee, he knew how much love, for many years, actually, these ladies had the desire to see Krishna. Even though they were living close on the way to Mathura, even nowadays, if we go to Vrindavana, there is a beautiful place, Bataronda, and there is still the house of the Brahmana's wife that you can go and visit. And so it's in the outskirts going towards Mathura. And those ladies, because they were doing their activities, and they would go always to buy in the market, they would go and buy flowers. And those flowers, they were cultivated in Vrindavan, and the ladies of Vrindavan will come to sell the flowers. But in Vrindavan, everyone, what they speak about? Krishna and Balaram, what they did. So these ladies, they were hearing, they heard about the beauty of Krishna. So in that way, they developed this affection. And finally, they are here. Krishna is there. And he personally, Krishna himself, took all the pots. He helped them. And Krishna with a deep voice. His voice is also said is like the sound of the thunderbolt, very deep. And his words were like soaked with love. And it is described they are like drops of nectar falling from the autumn moon. So this is how it sounds when Krishna is speaking. And Krishna says, oh, those who are fortunate by being filled of love, they are able to see me. Oh, wives of the Brahmana, my form doesn't appear at all time in all places, but it appears eternally for you. I will be eternally visible for you. So in this way, the ladies were also very happy, and immediately then they started to serve Krishna and Balaram in the cover boats, and you can imagine everyone was extremely joyful because if you remember, since the morning they could not eat, and now finally they could not only eat, but with this prasada full of love, and so they were all very happy. But then at the end, Krishna had to say, my dear ladies, now you have to come back home. You have to return. And please do that. After all, your husband are there, are waiting for you. But as we were saying before, you can imagine now all the ladies, they say, how can we go back now? No one will accept us any longer. Rather, they will kill us. It's just not possible. But then Krishna say, do not worry. If you follow what I will say, actually, you will always see me. Those who are hearing about my glories, those who are reading the scripture, and those who are chanting my holy names, I'm never separated with them. And don't worry, you will see, actually, when you will go back, your husband will accept you.
Okay. So the wives of the Brahmana went back to their homes, and indeed Krishna's words were true. The husbands were now very, very gentle. They were actually waiting for them to welcome them back in their homes. And Jiva Goswami explained in Gopal Champu that when they came back, they saw that all the roof of the house were made of jewels. And they understood, okay, Krishna make his magic, everything will be all right. And Krishna had told the wives of the Brahmana, you can go back home, there will be no problem. I will tell the demigods, the Devata, to tell the Brahmana that they should accept you back. Because Krishna knew they are worshipping very much in the desire to connect to Svarga. So if the demigod come to them to tell them to accept their wife back, there will be no discussion. They will accept directly. But when the wives came, the Brahmana got back to their senses. And they say, although our wives have never done japa, they never studied Vedas, they never undergone purificatory rites or follow the formalities of cleanliness or engage in pious rituals. Just see the pure love for Krishna that they have. And they say, to hell with our being born Brahmanas. To hell with our learning of all Vedic literature. To hell with our performing great sacrifice and observing all the rules and regulation. To hell with all of that, for we have not developed transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could see their wives. Their eyes were all the time filled with tears. They could see how much love was there into their wives' heart, and they understood, now our wives are our gurus. Now they are our gurus. They developed this love of God, but we missed to develop that. So this pastime actually represent one anatta, one of obstacle that is in the heart of the living entity. And this is the fault of being indifferent toward Krishna because of our pride of being born in a high class. But it can be also pride in general. But the main problem is actually our indifference toward Krishna. And we can see even sometimes for devotees who are practicing, sometimes we are chanting the name, but we are indifferent to Krishna. And this is actually the obstacle that is inside of the heart that we want to remove. And it's very much connected to pride, because when we are proud, it's difficult to pray. It's difficult to take shelter. It's difficult to approach the Lord because we think we can just manage things, that everything is in our hands, everything is in our control. There is beautiful teaching into this pastime. The first one is, like Vajayanti said, those ladies, they had developed this love because they had heard about him. So by hearing about Krishna, this will actually bring attraction in our heart. And when attraction is there, then we fly. Then we can go through any obstacle. We will not be afraid to go in the direction of Krishna. And we can see that there was a lot of surrender because of their attraction. They actually could surrender fully to Krishna. And I think the most relevant teaching, and I will end with that, is that actually Bhakti is beyond all the ritualistic ceremonies. And that's actually very, very, very deep point that we might have heard already, but we might not have imbibed or really understood, or that we are not living. Very, very often we are doing our activities in a ritualistic way. Even if they are bhakti items, we might do them as ritual. I think you might have met His Holiness Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj. He came here sometimes. He was giving the explanation of what spiritual means. And he says spiritual has two words in. One is spirit and one is ritual. So something spiritual is when we do a ritual, but with spirit, that we know why we do the ritual. And that was the problem of those brahmana. They were doing the ritual, but they were totally losing. They lost it. They lost why actually they were doing the ritual. What was the reason for that? So I think that's actually a very, of course, we need to change japa. Of course, we need to control our sense as good as we can. Of course, we have to pray. We have to do all of that. But we have to understand that the main point is actually to develop bhakti, which means actually to please the Lord with our activity. There was, I often quote this story. His name is Adipurusha, a wonderful Vaishnava, and he was traveling with a sannyasi. And for some times they were living in a small apartment, and my friend was cooking for the sannyasi, and then he would do the offering. And one day the sannyasi said, "Okay, you go to the altar, you bring the plate, you ring the bell, and you tell the mantras. I will sit on the sofa and I will pray to Krishna that he will accept it." And then he say, what is the most important? Is actually the prayer. The prayer, my dear Lord, please accept the offering that we do. So in all the puja, in all the meditation, in everything that we do, we should follow in the footsteps of the wise who understood actually. And for that we need actually sufficient thinking about the Lord, about Krishna consciousness, so that we can develop this attraction. So, thank you for your attention. We could have, I think, a few more minutes in case someone of you would have a question on regarding the pastimes or regarding what it represents. And we really hope that you have some pictures in your heart of what you have heard, and that you will not just replace those pictures with many other things of your life, but you will treasure them in your heart and keep reviewing them from time to time. Yes, yes.
Maybe so it's like we're still pondering and like we listen to the story and then that's what is revolving around our mind. But also it's like we are exploring Shri Krishna and then we're developing it. Maybe if we could ask something, then we would have some questions.
If I would have some question?
No, if you can ask and you can engage, then our minds can.
Yeah, very, very, very nice. It looks that all of you are in a different world. And now, do we have any question? Oops, where are we? Yes. I mean, usually, Kṛṣhṇa is always a wonderful question. His mind is very sharp. And do you have? Oh, maybe Vajanti, you have. We can also, sometimes when I give lecture, I tell the audience, if you don't have any question, I will have one. I will have some for you. So rather I have some question ready. Yes.
Meditation like yesterday only offline, or here it's also online? Because I really like it, and we have possibilities to make it online.
Yes. We have actually 3 different courses online per week. One is japa chanting. It's mainly chanting together, but 3 times I give small inspiration to direct our consciousness when we chant japa. We have 1 course on Bhagavatam. It is coming from the school of Bhakti, from Kṛṣhṇa Maharaj, that we do once a week also online. And when we are in Vrindavan, we do a program like we had yesterday. But when we are not in Vrindavan, then we do some nectar reading. We call that nectar reading.
So with some meditation, now we are reading from the Nanda Vrindavan Champu, the pastimes of the Lord, and we do some meditation. This also we have every week online.
Okay. How we have time to?
If someone is interested, you can just approach and you can exchange. We have a WhatsApp group. We can easily add you to the group.
Yeah. So we are almost off with the time. Any question? Yes, wonderful.
So when this vibes of Brahmanas, they were all following the voice and going towards Krishna. Very Mataji, she explained very well how visual was, what visual was there going in the heart of wives. But what was the visual which was going within the hearts of these boys? Were they also seeing that root or the avatar of Krishna the way the wives were seeing it? Or were they just like it was just a Leela, another Leela of Krishna that they were just focused on the food, but it was just the wives who could see that greatness and the charm and that that part of Krishna. What was going on within the hearts of these boys to whom they were following?
Thank you.
I mean, one thing is like that I remember is just for sure, even every day when the cowboys goes out in the forest, when Krishna, you can imagine they are running and walking. If Krishna for this time there is a tree, and Krishna is passing behind the tree, it's like if they are dying by not seeing him. So Krishna is definitely always very special for them as well. But I mean, it depends on. Most of the time, they don't see him as God, not for sure, and because this is how they can give pleasure to Krishna. So the main focus in Vrindavan is giving pleasure to Krishna. So each one of the inhabitants with their own relationship, give pleasure to Krishna. The aim is giving pleasure to Krishna. So if to give pleasure for Krishna, we have to forget that he's God. So sometimes they chastise him. As you know, sometimes Krishna has to carry them on their. And you want to add something?
Yeah, it's very, thank you for your very relevant question. That means actually when you were hearing, you were there and you were thinking, okay, what is happening also around. It's very much everyone is like Vajanti said, everyone is just so much in love with Krishna. So he's always like in the center of attraction. But Krishna is one friend. His name is Madhu Mangal. And Madhu Mangal is very, very fond of eating. So maybe he was looking a little bit at the foodstuffs to see what was happening. But in general, they are all like very, very much. And also Krishna he's not limited. He can interact with the wives of the Brahmana, but at the same time, everyone around feel they also have a relationship with him. So it's very, sometimes also a little beyond our ability to comprehend. But this loving exchange Krishna had with actually all, is ready to exchange with all living entities and every one of us as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought also it's a beautiful meditation also that we can have also when we do our japa meditation. Or sometimes, I mean, I personally was touched like, yeah, how Krishna is smiling and say, please come, please come. So we can also, there is a beautiful purport in the Bhagavatam with Gajendra, and where it's about prayers. And in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord is attentive to us even before we pray. And because he wants us to come back to the spiritual world, to have a relationship with us more than what we want. So for me, it was very like endearing to, yeah, we can have this meditation also while chanting, to see the Lord smiling and tell, please come, please come, please come. So it's it.
Thank you. So we will jump in our car and we're driving to Amsterdam for the Sunday feast there. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for your attention. And see you soon, maybe. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Just before we wrap up, we'd just like to thank Gaurari Prabhu and Vajanti Materi for giving a valuable association, and we had nice programs. Of course, maybe next time we can have more programs if we stay longer. And then we'll just thank both of them by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhu.